Well, hey, Tip of the Spear, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about some leadership principles that we can take from the New Testament. We're going to split this into two parts and have two examples today and two examples in the next video. Just because I really don't like videos on YouTube being 10 minutes or longer. Like, I want to keep this short for everyone. So the first thing we're going to do is, and by the way, all these examples, they're just cherry picking. They're just highlights. We can do this all day long and find leadership principles and narratives and historical documents and all sorts of things within the scripture. These are just some highlights. So we're going to open up in Acts 18, starting in verse 24. It says, "Now a Jew named Apollos, a native of Alexandria, came to Ephesus. He was an eloquent man, competent in the scriptures. He had been instructed in the way of the Lord. And being fervent in spirit, he spoke and taught accurately the things concerning Jesus, though he knew only the baptism of John. He began to speak boldly in the synagogue, but when Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they took him aside and explained to him the way of God more accurately. And when he wished to cross to Achaia, the brothers encouraged him and wrote to the disciples to welcome him. And when he arrived, he greatly helped those who through grace had believed, for he powerfully refuted the Jews in public, showing by the scriptures that Christ was Jesus." So the principle here is Apollos was a good teacher. He knew the things about Jesus well. He knew the scriptures well. His theology was pretty sound. And that's going to be the case for every single one of you. All you CG leaders out there, y'all's theology is good. That's not the issue with our leadership. It's applying that theology, having a theology of leadership and applying that for how we act that out. That's really the issue. And that's why we're spending time talking about these principles and convictions from Scripture itself. So this guy, Apollos, was a good teacher and he knew his Bible, but there was a little bit of a deficiency. There's a little bit of inaccuracy there. And Priscilla and Aquila, who were probably an older couple. They may have led a house church or at least hosted a house church and partnered with Paul. They're mentioned elsewhere in Scripture. They took him aside and made him a better disciple by lovingly caring for him and correcting what needed to be corrected. This is something that y'all do all the time already right now, where y'all are caring for the people in your groups. And people are coming up with questions. They're struggling and processing through things. The racial injustice that's going on, how to live well in the coronavirus age. Like, we're helping our people understand how to be Christians in this time. And so this is exactly what y'all can do, and in most cases are doing right now. So the principle here is Priscilla and Aquila didn't have a title. They were just key volunteers. They weren't elders, they weren't apostles, they weren't deacons, or at least we don't have any record of that. They were just an older couple who wanted to be faithful to the Lord and help Apollos be faithful too. So that's the first one I want to go through today. The next is in 1 Timothy chapter 3. It's the qualifications for overseers and deacons. I'm not going to read it all, but a few highlights. An overseer must be above reproach, husband of one wife, sober-minded, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not a drunkard, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money, manages his household, he disciplines his kids. Deacons likewise must be dignified, not double-tongued, not addicted to much wine, greedy or dishonest gain. Their wives likewise must be dignified, not slanderers, but sober-minded, faithful in all things, managing their children, disciplining their children, all of those things. Now, on one sense, it is true, this is written specifically about someone holding an office in church leadership, an elder or a deacon. But as we've argued before at the well, that's not just what this is about. This is living life according to God's way. It's having the fruit of the Spirit, as we see in Galatians 5, being self-controlled and not given to much passions and things like that. This is what every Christian man and woman should strive to live like. being faithful to your spouse, not being a lover of money, not being quarrelsome, being dignified, being able to teach the scriptures, this is what leadership and discipleship is. And so the principle here is even in passages that are specifically about offices, there's still guidelines for us to live and act in our everyday life. And by doing so, by reflecting who God is, by submitting ourselves to his ways, living the way he wants us to live, we reflect him to those around us in our spheres of influence, in our culture. And so that is us leading out in the world and reflecting who he is. That's us teaching our children. That is all discipleship. So I want to encourage us today that we can do this now. We can lead out in wherever God has put us now. We can strive to honor him in everything that we do. And that is leadership, and leadership is making disciples. So next week, we're going to have another video on some more New Testament passages. I'm also going to create an outline and post that in the information of the video. I'll let you know when that happens. It'll be a living document. I'll update it periodically. I'm not really a YouTube influencer. I don't really care if you subscribe and like the video. I think the only benefit really for me is if you subscribe, then you get this automatically. You get a notification if you, I think, hit the bell. And then I don't have to hound you in text messages and emails to watch this. So if you do have suggestions on things you want to talk about or have us discuss in these times, do not hesitate to let me know. There's my dog. We can enjoy the Lord, and I'm so distracted now, Bonnie, because you're in the front. That's awesome. Yeah. If you do have suggestions on things you want to talk about or have us talk about, let me start that over where my voice doesn't crack.